So I'm doing a review stream, chat, just for now, and then we'll grind poker later. But I figured that we would do a review of my Road to Wsop 2022 challenge. I already did one on Saturday, but I forgot to record it, and a lot of people actually missed out on that review, so I figured, hey, why not do it again? Challenge is over. Finished on May 31st of this year. And the footnote of it, the conclusion of it, is that I lost the challenge. Challenge is over. I figure we'll dig a little bit deeper into some of it. So we started the challenge in November of 2021. I think it was like October 31st. And things were off to a great start. I think we banked a few tournaments early. And, the game plan was to just play as much as I could below $55 buy-ins, basically. I was going to stick to about a $40 average buy-in, which basically ends up being like tournaments ranging from $11 all the way up to roughly $88. But I would say I probably played a little bit lower than that. It ended up being roughly like a $25 average buy-in. We'll show my shark scope in a minute. So November and December, we're off to a really good start. I banked a couple of tournaments, I think, in both months to put me like roughly around plus 7K on the challenge. So we were like slightly behind pace of what we needed to go to hit to $50,000 by May 31st, which was the goal, right? $50,000 by May 31st, 2022, at which point I'd use that profit to go to the World Series of Poker. That profit was going to be poker winnings, sponsorship earnings, Twitch earnings, subtract my monthly expenses, which was going to be between $1,800 and $2,400 a month. As far as what was a success during that challenge, my expenses were pretty much spot on. I think I averaged about $1,900 a month, which, given the current economy, I think is pretty damn good. Rent was affordable. I didn't go out a lot. I didn't eat out a lot. Pretty decent. Didn't have a ton of subscriptions, that kind of thing. As far as the poker goes, like I said, the first 2 months were pretty successful. January was a big fail because I got COVID, so I only grinded for like 10 days out of that month, of which it was losing. February just continued a downward spiral. March, maybe towards halfway through February, beginning of March, I got a mental coach to try and work on my emotional state in the game, because obviously I really wanted to do really, really well in this challenge, and I was starting to feel the emotional toll, the emotional weight of the challenge wearing on me. It was not a good time, not a good experience. And with Scoop coming up, I felt like that was going to kind of be the be all end all for me as far as like winning this challenge. March, I actually kind of started working more in an upward trajectory here, and I'll show you. This is what I keep track of, like when people buy, when I sell on Stake Kings, when I get rake back, all that kind of stuff. And we grossed about 3,200s after selling action to friends and Stake Kings and stuff. We finished plus 2.3K. See that right here. So that was like our first winning month of the year and our second or third winning month of the challenge. But it could have been a lot better. I mean, when I'm playing that low of an average buy-in, I think we should be making a lot more. Going into April, it kind of just ended up just spiraling out of control. We like barely had any winning days whatsoever. I just kept hunting for like big fields, and I think that was a big issue. And that was one of the goals that I did have at the beginning of the challenge, was to hunt the big fields, because I thought that was where I was going to realize my equity the best, or my EV the best. And I've realized now, through just the experiences that I've been having over the last couple of weeks, that like I definitely approached the challenge completely backwards. So we're going to go over that in a minute. I'll just do a quick rundown of how things went month to month. Okay, so going into May, we were like, I think my challenge was at like 2K. It was at like one of the lowest points that it had been since the beginning of the challenge. And so in May, I was like, this is it. This is obviously, it's the last month of the challenge. Scoop is coming up. This is really what's going to make or break me here. And I grossed minus 4K. I netted, luckily, $170 due to a few reasons. Rake back, because I was mass tabling. I was playing the most tables in my entire career on average. Generally, I average about 9 tables probably throughout my career. But in May, I was averaging about 11. So I was playing 12, 13, 14 tables at a time, which is like whatever. I was autopiloting basically, right? So I generated a lot of rake back. I sold a lot of action on Stake Kings and privately, And then my buddy Alex did pretty decently as well. So, you know, that helped pad my losses to basically a minimal losing day. But I was talking about this with Crystal Borg. See in the chat. What's up, man? May was off to a fantastic start. The first day of May, I made $6,700 and I was like, fuck yes. You know, I don't think Scoop had started yet. It was like, we're gonna go into May crushing. And then look at all this red, dude. Just gave it all away, dude. I just gave it all away. Gave it all back. And didn't crush it all. Just fucking got destroyed. And so we ended up losing the challenge. Just to give you a quicker, or not quicker, but a better look of how things went. Show you my shark scope. And some of you guys are probably gonna, you know, lose hope in me or lose faith in me or whatever when you see this shark scope, but you know, it is what it is. This is my shark scope during the challenge. So between October 31st of 2021 and May 31st of 2022, we played 7,200 games at a $24 average buy-in. I lost 20K. That's not truly what I lost. I think I lost a little bit less than that because once again I sold action and whatnot, but it doesn't really matter, right? 7,000 games is, you know, generally that's as much as a lot of professionals play in a year, and I got to do that in 6 months or 7 months. So this is enough to show that I'm a losing reg. Like, that's just the reality of it. I'm a bad reg, as Doug Polk famously coined the term. I'm a bad reg. I play for a living, but I'm not a good player, and that's okay. I mean, like, it sounds like I'm being a lot harder on myself than I am. Well, I shouldn't say that's okay. It's not okay. I'm obviously not happy with this at all. I'm kind of disappointed in myself, but like surrendering to that fact, coming to terms with the fact that I am a losing poker player, that I am not a winning player, that I'm not a good reg. I'm in fact a bad reg. I think surrendering to that and then thinking about what you want to do next is really, really healthy, not letting your ego get in the way. So I want the bad reg t-shirt. Yeah, I should get one of those. I probably deserve it. I think the two biggest reasons why this ended so poorly for me, or this was so poor for me, was game selection. My game selection was terrible. And my studying was very inconsistent. And I got both of those opinions from two different people. One from my best friend Alex. He's telling me, dude, you barely studied. Like, of course you did this poorly. Like, you didn't stay on top of your game. You mass tabled, and you autopiloted because you were mass tabling. And then beef is, he didn't tell me my game selection was bad. He made me realize my game selection was bad based off of the work that I've been doing with him, talking about game selection. Brian Fight, if you guys don't know him, he owns Team Turbo Kings. He's also a streamer and a professional poker player for a long time. So, like, you know, at the time I was, you know, I reviewed my video on YouTube. I think it's called Road to WSOP 2022 or something like that. It's where we're setting goals. I made this back in November. This is the new goal. This is the new challenge. This is what I want to achieve. One of the big things that I said was that I wanted to play all the big fields that were plus EV, all the series games that were plus EV, and then sprinkle in the small fields just to help me break even, as long as it doesn't get in the way of my more important games, you know? And I think that was like definitely the wrong way to think about it. So I had it asked backwards, because what ends up happening here is I start playing these games, these big field games, and regardless of whether I'm good or bad, I'm gonna swing. So I might swing totally up high, and I can definitely swing all the way down low, right? And on top of the fact that I'm not a winning regular, you know, I just end up swinging even harder than I should. I wanted to do just a very, very quick look at a tournament variance calculator, just to kind of give you guys a picture of like how things are supposed to look when you're losing reg, how things are supposed to look when you're winning reg, all that kind of stuff, right? So this is a tournament variance calculator. This is just going to be kind of like a rough outlook. So let's say we take the average tournament having 1,000 players, which is kind of, I think was what, did I exit the shark scope? So my average field size, average entrance, 897. Let's round it up to 900. So my average field size was 900. That generally means we're gonna have how many people get paid in a 900 player field? Like 120, somewhere around there. 125 sounds about right. And what was my average buy-in? 24. Make it even, go to 25. Rake-in percentage 11%, sounds about good. So let's say I was a winning rake. Okay, let's say I had 25% ROI, which is generally considered like a winning rake. That's a guy who's making a living at poker. Okay, over 1,000 game sample, I think that's enough of a sample. Let's say so if we have $25, let's say bankroll is 7,500, just for argument's sake. So this is what our swings are generally going to look like at the top end when we're running at our peak. Over 1,000 games, so that's about a month to a month and a half worth of playing. We could make upwards of $30,000, assuming we're playing at our best and we're running at our best. At the bottom end, we can lose as much as $10,000 or more. Looks like more like $12,000. And then there's everywhere in between, right? This black line is the median. We could stand to average around $8,000 a month ish, assuming I'm a $25 average, a 25% ROI. I didn't. I had a minus 4% ROI. So let's throw minus 4% in there. Yeah, cool. So it's even swingier. At the bottom end, we stand to lose about, this looks like almost 20K, which is about what I lost. So I was at the bottom end of my ROI. I was right at the bottom end. The median is 0. At the top is over 20K, assuming you're just like running hotter than the sun, way over expectation, which is basically like winning the lottery in my opinion. So it's just really, really swingy. On top of the fact that I didn't play great, I was probably, playing slightly above average compared to the fields, which is not good enough. And I was just picking really, 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 really big games, which further increases that swing, right? Let's take a look at what my win rate. So in those 7 months, I played 600,000 hands. And the number we want to look at here is our all-in adjusted BB100. So our EVB would be 100. This is what our win rate would be excluding all-ins, basically. 3.6. 3.6 BB100 shows that I have a proficiency at the game. I understand how the game works. I have a basic decent understanding of the strategies, but this invites an insane amount of swings. So I know how to play poker, but I don't know how to play poker really well. And that goes to show right there in my stats right here. Once again, I reviewed my video that I made when I originally started the challenge, and the big takeaway for me of the biggest mistake that I made was the game selection. So I have it written down here in my notepad. My income goals was a 30% ROI with a $40 average buy-in, and played 750 games, which would equal out to roughly about 6K. So add sponsors, sub goals, and all that kind of stuff. The plan was to hopefully make 9K minus my expected expenses, close to $7,000 a month. And I said something along the lines of worst case scenario, I go broke, but chances are I get to 20 to 30K, it's a win-win. So like, even if I, majority of the time, even if I don't win the challenge, I still come out in the positive, and I can use that to excel into something else later on. Just very, very silly. Especially considering the way that I looked at the games, right? Saying things like play all the plus EV big field series and play small fields to break even, as opposed to playing the small fields to make all the money. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I experienced it. Like that's the reality of it. I experienced it, and it proved it proved untrue of what I said. So we failed the challenge. We finished like plus 4K on the challenge, meaning that basically my positive win money came from the income I made off of sponsorships, which is not acceptable. I want to make money off of poker and then have sponsorships be complementary money on top of that, right? Now, what do we do moving forward? I mean, obviously there's a couple of options, right? I mean, the worst option is I quit. Now, I don't want to quit, because even though it shows here that I'm a losing player, I do feel like I have a really good grasp of how poker works and what it takes to become a successful poker player, as I've been doing it for 6 years for a living, just what's happened over the last 6 months is I think the game has kind of passed me a little bit. And I felt that way going into Scoop, that like maybe the game is passing me by because I can't seem to win right now. I don't know what's wrong. But I also know that like if I actually put my head down and I put in the effort, I can be a winning poker player. So yeah, BFizz was doing a challenge, $20,000 in 40 days, playing nothing higher than a $22 buy-in. And he was opening prop bets at even money, so I bet like a couple $100 against him. Not because I didn't think he was capable, but because I thought the time constraints were going to be really, really tight. And he almost won it. It got within like 3 days of his prop bet being over, and he was within less than $1,000 of getting to the $20,000 goal. He was playing like a $13 average buy-in and just playing 100 games a day and just printing, game selecting like crazy. And there was about 3 days left in the prop bet, and he goes, "Hey man, I'm like within about $800 of winning this challenge. I'm thinking about taking tomorrow off, but only if you want to just like squash this bet and just call it even. Because if you don't, I'm gonna play out the rest of this challenge every single day, and it's the chances of me like winning this challenge are more than 50%. I was like, okay, cool. So we just squashed it, even money, no big deal. And he took that day off, but then the next 2 days he got within like a couple $100 of hitting 20K. And I thought, wow, like making $20,000 playing a $15 average buy-in in 6 weeks? Who does that? Like, you barely hear of high stakes rigs. There are high stakes rigs who won't make $20,000 in a month playing a $100 average buy-in, right? And I'm like, man, BFizz is looking at this game different than anybody else that I know. I gotta ask him what's going on, because I'm a losing poker player and I'm playing a $25 average buy-in. That's unacceptable, because I know I'm better than most of the players in these games based off of the way that I'm studying. So I call him up and we kind of hash it out over the weeks a little bit. And when my challenge was done, and he had just had a baby, so once he got that out, had his child and settled down a little bit, and my challenge was done, he goes, I'm starting up a little coaching for profit group, really, really tight. I think you're capable of being a winning player. Why don't you join it? And I thought about it and I said, sure. So I joined his coaching for profit group at the beginning of June. What coaching for profit is he coaches me constantly, basically on a daily basis, very, very hands-on. And in return, I give him a piece of my monthly profits. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell how much, so I'm just going to keep that to myself, but it's not a huge chunk. It's enough to make it worth it for sure, because I get a coaching from him at least an hour and a half every single day, on top of the fact that I can ask him for advice any time of the day, 7 days a week. So it's very, very hands-on. And already in the last like 2 weeks, I've learned a lot. And this has inspired me to restart the challenge, basically. $50,000 profit in 7 months was an achievable goal. I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was not going to be easy, but I made it hard on myself that entire 7 months, picking all the wrong games, not being consistent in progressing as like a person, getting healthy, not like getting proper rests, not working on my mental enough, not being consistent in my studies to build my confidence. Like I did all the things that I knew I needed to do. So I didn't do all the things that I knew I needed to do. And it bit me, I shot myself in the foot, bit me in the butt. And I was a struggling poker player. Honestly, I probably would have had to quit poker if I didn't have ACR as a sponsor. That's the reality of it. And I hate saying that, because it shouldn't be that way. I want to be a professional poker player, i.e. I make a living playing poker. And if I make anything outside of that, that's just like extra. So moving forward, we're starting a new challenge, okay? I'm going to do this again because I do really want to do, at least once in my life, I want to go spend a month or two at the World Series of Poker, grinding that World Series out. And I think it's a great challenge to have. So I'm restarting the challenge, Road to WSOP 2023. Starting June 1st, it's already June 13th right now as we're recording this, but starting June 1st, Road to WSOP 2023. The deadline being May 31st of next year. And instead of 50K, I want to hit 100K. Now, if we hit 50K, I'll probably still go to the World Series. Just 100K would make it a lot easier, and it's a nice number. I want to push myself to, you know, do what's right, do what I deserve, which is to be successful in this game because I'm so passionate about it and I love it so much. And I know I can get there with the right amount of effort. I'm not an idiot. I mean, I'm an idiot in some ways, but like I'm definitely capable enough to be a winner at this game. I just don't apply myself in the right ways, and I want to apply myself in the right way, you know? I'm not getting any younger. I'm only getting older. I don't have a whole lot of life skills. So, you know, if I'm going to quit here, it's going to be because I want to quit here because I did it on my terms. Like, I got successful and I wanted to move on to something else. I don't want it to be because I left opportunity and potential on the table based off of my own inner demons, i.e. being lazy. Because that's all this comes down to. My lack of success comes down to me not applying myself. And I know I can apply myself and be a winner at this game. So the coaching for profit situation has been really, really good. I've learned a lot. I've made some major adjustments to my game. And let me just show you where we're at so far. We're only 2 weeks into June, so it's very, very early. Only 2 weeks into this coaching for profit situation. Only 2 weeks into the goal. But I think this will be fairly illuminating as to the types of adjustments I've made so far. So much better. Obviously at 300 games doesn't really mean anything to some degree, but it's a good, I think it's a nice opening indicator to where we're headed right now. I'm playing half the average buy-in that I was playing during the challenge beforehand, but doing significantly better and more consistently. $12 average buy-in, and I have a 57% ROI. Now, when you see this kind of an ROI, generally what that means is a person just like binked one tournament for a huge amount. Like I remember I looked at my party poker when I won that 100K score back in 2019, and it showed me having like an 80% ROI or something really stupid. Just because like I was playing a game that was like quadruple my average buy-in, and I won, you know, a 500xer or whatever, right? This is my graph right now. So like it's not like it's one big score or like a downswing in one big score. Like I'm already starting to show like a very gradual increase as the days go by. That ability rating though, yeah, I don't take that seriously at all. I don't even know what the ability rating is based off of with strike scope. I'm not worried about that. And once again, small sample, 300 games at the end of the day doesn't mean a whole lot. It's just, I'm just trying to show an indicator of like how I'm feeling about the game, what I'm learning, and how I'm using it to apply to the games that I'm playing. The big thing too has been average field size has gone down quite a bit. Average entrance 585. So the reason it should be a lot smaller than that. Honestly, the big reason why is because of I've been playing some Sunday majors. But like on the weekdays, I think my average field size is probably like 300. It's really small. I'm very big on game selection. I'm playing mostly like $27 1Ks, $16 2Ks, $33 1Ks, $10 500 guarantees. I'm not gonna have a hot, like even in 3 or 4 months time, I'm not gonna like, if I make 50K, I'm not gonna go play like $100 average buy-in. I'm probably gonna cap myself at some point or another to like $40. I think honestly I can actually get to 100K playing like a $20 average buy-in, just putting in a good amount of volume and playing a very hyper exploitative style moving forward that I didn't really realize beforehand. I thought I knew what it meant to exploit the fields, when in reality I was like trying to find this like GTO style of play versus people who never play anything even remotely close to GTO. And like I don't have like a super good understanding of GTO either, so I was probably making even more mistakes on top of that. Where in reality what I need to do is just exploit the fuck out of everybody, exploit their lack of understanding of the game, exploit their passiveness and their lack of aggression, exploit their tightness in a lot of different spots, and exploit their misunderstanding of how ICM works. You know, like at its base, in the most basic broad sense, you know, in chip EV people call too tight, and in ICM EV people call too wide. So like exploiting them for that, and that's going to be the game plan moving forward. And I think this challenge is actually going to work a lot better than before. I was totally looking at it wrong before, and it cost me. And I think I'm looking at it at a very different light now, and I really do think that things are going to turn out really, really well moving forward. Now, there's going to be some unforeseen hurdles. Who knows what they are? I already have a couple of hurdles moving forward. So like, I'm going to have to move out of this house in September because my roommate, aka my landlord, aka one of my best friends, he's having a baby. So I want to move out so that they can have this room for the baby's room, and because I just don't really want to be around a baby. And I need to find a new place to live, and I'm trying to decide where I want to live. I think I'm probably going to move back to New Zealand. If I am going to move back to New Zealand, there's probably like 2 weeks to a month of grinding that I'm not going to have, because I'll need to find a place to live. I'll probably need to buy a new computer, all that kind of stuff. So that might cut things short. We'll see. But, you know, if things go well, if I really continue to crush these games, I could run above EV and really just have a couple of really good months. Obviously, if the stream does well, then the sponsorship situation will do well, and then I can make more money through that to kind of tide things over, all that kind of stuff. So I think things will be a lot better this time around. Now, one big thing that I said in the last time we did the review stream is that I'm not going to make you guys any promises. I think I made too many promises to myself and to you guys when I made this challenge originally, including with my New Year's resolutions as well with that video, and I haven't fulfilled those promises to myself or to you guys. So for me to just all of a sudden make more promises again, expecting to fulfill those promises would be really, really irresponsible, and would set an expectation for you guys that would perhaps cause you to perhaps not follow me as much, because you know, I don't have a good track record of fulfilling those promises. So I'm not going to make any promises. All I'm going to say is that I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out, should I apply myself properly. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. For those of you watching on YouTube, because I redid this, I already actually streamed this a couple days ago, forgot to record it. Now I'm re-recording it again and restreaming it again, so that I can put it on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I would say let me know in the comments what you think, but I know that YouTube can be pretty hateful, so don't worry about commenting because I'm not going to read any of the comments. But like, comment, subscribe. I'm hoping to make some more YouTube videos moving forward. I promised earlier in the year that I would make more YouTube videos, and then I didn't do it, mostly just because I couldn't afford it. I can afford it now, so I do want to start making some more YouTube videos moving forward. So once again, I'm not going to make any promises because I think that would be very silly considering I've already broken enough promises as it is. But yeah, hopefully you can see some more YouTube videos moving forward. Hopefully, fingers crossed.